awesome viewers, welcome to 𝗚̱cie Studio. In this video, we are going to look at this. The Honor Guard Chapter Ancient. But of course, in the next video, we were going to look at the Terminator Captain. And surprisingly, I realized the Captain is a little bit heavier than the Honor Guard. So anyway, let's move that aside. And then we're going to look at this one today. If you follow my channel, I'm quite sure you have already watched my video on the Honor Guard wand, which is, one of my favorite figure by joytoy. And now we're gonna look at the Honor Guard with the banner. And alright, let's have a look at the box first, then we'll open it. When the parcel arrived, I have no idea what I've ordered because I did not expect, this figure coming in, in this size, And typically it is about that size. But this is actually quite big, so I thought that I actually ordered a 𝗵𝗡𝗀𝗀 figures, which is similar size as that, you see. So anyway, and surprisingly, it turns out to be this figure, and I was really excited. And let's have a look at the box itself. Just typical joytoy, packaging. And obviously we can see some of the accessories, which I'm gonna go through after I open the box. Alright, let's open it. To pack it horizontally. Alright, and the banner is in the back. Alright, interesting. Wow, the banner is actually quite big. Let's open it. So again, in the latest product, joytoy will give you a clear base, which I rarely use. Woo. So we have the figure itself, the very beautiful sword, and the backpack, and 4 sets of exchangeable hands. And if you take this out from the container box here, it got another layer, which is where they put the banner inside. So that is very well packed. Well done. Before we look at the figure, let's have a look at the accessories first. So I'll go for the banner, the sword, and the exchangeable hands. The sword is a brand new design. Luckily, they did not use the ones that been used before, and this is all new, I guess. And I love this wing emblem, or the symbol on the handle of the sword, and that looks excellent. And then you have the tip of the handle, and look at this Ultramarines emblem. I love that. Look at the design. That is actually very unique, and I really love it. And the only thing that I'm not happy with is that sword, can be a little bit longer, so it makes the whole figure looks even better, right? And I don't know why. All the Space Marine sword is always very short, so I'm not too sure why. But anyway, it does look like an ancient weapon, so I really like that. So alright, next is the exchangeable hands, and we have looked at the exchangeable hands. So what they gave you is they have 2 sets of fists. So they have the fist on both, left and right, and then another one which is like holding the gun, and another one which is holding the sword, like this one, right? And also the hands that already come together with the figure. They have one which is on the left holding the gun as well, and then have another one holding the sword. So that means they give you 3 sets of pair of hands, right? So you have 1 pair, and 2 pair, and 3 pairs. Anyway, let's have a look at the highlights of this figure. A very big banner. If we compare the size with the Chapter of Heroes, this one, the rough size comparison, look at that. That is humongous. If we compare with the Great Knights banner, and that is a size comparison, so this is still really big. If we look at the height of the banner itself, it is roughly 18 centimeters high. But if we look at the height from top to bottom, right, so that will be almost like 24 centimeters high. So that is one hell of a banner, one big banner. And let's have a look at the details, the banner itself. So there are raised details throughout the whole banner. So you can see there are scripts here, the raised, edges. And then we have Ultramarines. But the letters here is not recessed. So, it is just print. But, on here, This is actually recessed, so I'm not too sure why this is not, right? Consider this is such a big word compared to this. You have the Space Marine, fighting over the Tyranids here. So that looks really good. And if anyone know who this Space Marine is, please let me know. On the top part of the banner, we have in Latin, it is called the Vexillum. So this is like a insignia, and you can see you got the Ultramarines and 13th here as well. And also the back, you can see it's got the same detail in the back. And here we got the emblem as well. And then you have the grid look, horizontal banner. And on top you can see there's a rope here, and then there is a script that handing over the rope, and also a very nice little Bible or book on that as well. And at the end you got this wing piece. So everything kind of comes very nicely, but at the back there's actually nothing on it. But that is okay, because most of the time you just have a figure like that, you rarely look at the back of the figure. And this banner is made of soft plastic. It's not very soft, but soft enough, but you cannot really bend in the middle because of this piece in the middle. One thing you can do is you can pull this part out as well, so you can actually pull out that, you see, this actually came out, but I won't do that anyway. There's no point doing it unless you want to use this piece, use the pole to do something different, I reckon the details on this figure looks equally as good as the Honor Guard wand. The details are very different from this, this got entirely different details. First, let's have a look at the cape. The cape, as compared to the other figures, looks very different as well, but somehow it looks similar to the 𝗵଼cie guard. You can see, how the cape wraps around, but instead of it wrapping and connect to the edge of the shoulder pad, on the Ancient, it actually connect to the torso, the upper torso here, right? So you see there's actually connect to it. You cannot pull this off, so you cannot do much about it, but overall it looks really good together. We got the knots here, so that looks like they're tied up in together, and it actually wraps around, which follows the shape of the shoulder pad. You see how it actually wraps around and wraps down like that. So it looks very similar to the 𝗵଼cie guard in some way. And the helmet got this very unique gold, facial piece here. And on the chest, you can see the eagle emblem here. Here is it got this soft plastic pipe. Also got this little chain details on it. And it got this very nice kind of copper color, similar to that color as well. On the mid torso joint, then it got this very nice leather, apron. And that piece, in my opinion, probably the best looking piece out of all the figures with the apron piece here. So this is probably the best looking one, and it got a lot of purity seals, just like the Honor Guard. They're everywhere. The grenades is on the ball joint, same as the gun sleeve as well, but it doesn't have any guns at all in this figure, so I'm not too sure why they don't provide you any of this, but they give you that, right? And it got this really interesting kind of like a jade piece here, and got this really nice looking rope, and also got a very different detail here, so you can see with a little pipe there as well. Shoulder as well, got this very really beautiful leaves detail. Kind of looks similar to the chaplain, but of course chaplain is much better. Yep, you can see how it looks like together. And then on the other side as well is the same detail, and then across emblem here. And then at the back, the exhaust, you can see the backpack. It got the similar look to the Honor Guard, except you got this big skull emblem in the middle, where it's just got an exhaust and a skull at the bottom, right? And in terms of the finishes, the overall finish is similar to the Honor Guard because it was made at the same time. And generally, the weaponry always well painted by joytoy. I think the only thing that is missing is a bit of wash on the gold, but they do have a bit of brown wash on the gold, decoration piece here on the chest, but nothing on this piece on the shoulder. But if you compare to the chaplain here, right, you see the chaplain, right, actually has the brown wash on it. So you see, that is very plain, there's nothing on it. Well, even compared to the Honor Guard one, you see on the legs, right, it got similar details. You see it actually got the brown wash here, but look at it, it's just no brown wash. So I don't know whether it got missed in the painting process in the factory, or it means to be like that, you know, but the problem is the price is the same. So I think it could be a quality issue again, you know. Look, how come this painted but that's not painted? I just don't really get it. The cape itself got this, you know, a much darker wash or spray onto the recess of the cape, which looks much better. You see, it's actually darker compared to the honor guard. Honor guard is very light, but that's darker, and the contrast is much more obvious here. So I really like that. They also apply, you know, black shadowing on the blue area or armor of the body. So they have a little bit of black there, a little bit of black shadowing on the recess, you know, a bit of black here as well. You see the legs, a little bit of black shadowing on the edges and also on the edge of the shoulder pad as well. So you see they did actually apply the black shadowing, which is pretty good. One thing I'm not too sure of is you can see this black pipe, right? It's not having any silver kind of like highlighting. Unlike the honor guard, you can see on the pipe here, this got a gunmetal or silver highlighting, whereas this one looks like it is unfinished. And so as the pipe down there as well, you see on the legs. So I'm not too sure why they have differences here. Yeah, even though the finishes all looks pretty, you know, good. The only thing is, I don't think this banner is as good as the Heroes of the Chapter banner, because if you look at the differences, right, in terms of the painting and the finishes here, it got very nice, you know, wash on the flag as well. All the race detail has been further highlighted with a lighter colors. This, for example, if you just look at the Space Marine here, right, look at it, the details are just plain color. It's just a one, you know, single blue color, and it doesn't have much finishes. Even the wing, for example, you see, it only have a very slight, you know, almost non-existent, you know, wash on it. So if you look at this, you see the 𝗟̱ wording here. You can see the efforts that put in, right? The recess wording. And look at that, that's just a print. And even you look at this piece, it doesn't have any wash over it, right? You see, this is actually very nicely done, very nicely finished. If you look at the gold here, it's very shiny. Look at the gold here, it's not as shiny as well. And also, if you compare the bottom part of it, you can see all these details here. Look at this, it's very nicely detailed. Got all the washes, shadowing. And look at that, you know, there are not much shadowing. Yeah, so I think this one looked good overall, but when you got a comparison to look at, then you realize this is actually not that good. And in terms of articulation, I guess the major issue is the banner is quite high. The banner is rather heavy, so it's very hard for the figure to hold it. And the bottom is also quite slippy, so every time when you do this, it kind of like wrap around and the figure fall down and things like that. So, you know, that is a bad thing about the banner. And I wish joytoy can actually have a piece, probably give you a base, that you can actually sit the figure, and then you have the maybe a peg or a hole on the base and put the banner in it together, so that when it stands, it is stable. Every time I put it in shelf, you know, the top part is top heavy, and then it kind of like fall down together or slip around like that. It's just really frustrating. Anyway, back to the figure. It's generally the articulation is similar to a, you know, typical Space Marine, like similar to the Honor Guard and the Witcher's Guard, but the problem is because this cape is attached to the upper torso here, right? And I could not able to pull this off. Even if I pull this, you know, backpack off, you know, try to take it out, I can't able to take it out. So what happened is, you know, the shoulder will be always be obstructed by the cape here, right? So it has a limitation. If I move the shoulder up like that, you see, the shoulder pad will start clashing with the cape. So this is the absolute maximum angle I can get, right? Or I move back and that's it. Can't do much, right? Same as the other arm. You know, if I move it up a little bit, see if I can move it a little bit. Yeah, you can do that. Actually, you can do a little bit more for the other arm, because this part is thinner than that part. You see, that part is actually wrapping the whole thing, right? And that thing is alright, it doesn't really wrap around. So you can use the arm to hold the sword, so you can have maximum movement, whereas the other one to hold the banner, right? Because you're rarely going to move that arm. And also ab crunch because of this piece, which connect to the upper torso. So this piece kind of blocking it from moving down. So you can actually, you know, move up very high, but you cannot really able to, you know, bend down. Yeah, I don't think there's any problem. This is actually quite soft plastic as well, so you can kick up very high. This is actually 90 degrees, very good. Yep, and you see that comes off after I kick up the legs. Yeah, you can see right in front of you. Alright, I need to stick it back. But otherwise, the figure, there's no other issues, you know, in terms of articulation, right? In the conclusion, I think this figure is definitely a must-have for those who collect the Ultramarines army. And for example, like myself, you know, I've been collecting the Ultramarines, so it's a must-have for me because the banner is just so unique. And also, this figure is very different to other figures that I've seen so far. This figure definitely stands out because, you know, of the banner. And also the look of the figure is really good as well. It is actually quite unique as compared to other figures, right? At least for Ultramarines, it has its very own unique design. However, if you really look into the details of the banner and the painting, you realize the figure aren't really that good as expected. There's nothing wrong with the details whatsoever. The details are great. If you compare to the heroes of the chapter, for example, if you compare with the banner, it is better in terms of finishes, you know, and painting. And also, as mentioned before, some of the washes on the gold are not there for some reason, you know. So some are there, some are not. It makes me really wonder something being missed in the production process or what, you know. I mean, just not really sure about that. But you know, when you look at other figures that I got, right, you know, all the gold has been painted, all the washes has been applied. It won't be beat in pieces. At least, you know, when you look at the Honor Guard one, which I got in the other video, right, you know, everything has been painted really well. So how come this one is kind of like, you know, some of them are kind of missing? I'm not really sure. So in a way, it is impressive, but there are some issues with it. And also the Ultramarines, you know, letters on the banner. The Ultramarines letters are just a print. So you're kind of thinking, how come things are half done, half not done, you know, kind of like in between. You know, either put all the maximum efforts in doing everything right? But it's kind of not really, you know, like kind of half done. So overall, it looks very impressive, but like myself, I collect all the figures, so I can really able to compare the differences. So I can see something is actually lacking. These things are extremely minor, but yet it is actually quite visually obvious. But anyway, let me know what you think of this figure. And if you haven't got it, will you get it? And I'll speak to you in my next video. The next video, I'll look at the Terminator Captain, so stay put. And I will see you next time. Bye for now.